Okay, what I'd like to do is go through the Fusion part of the composite, which I've provided as a script. So what we'll do is we'll just go to the desktop where it's running. So what we've got here is we've got an edit, and we've just put that onto the timeline, and then in the Fusion panel what I'll do is try to make a bit of sense of this script. So first thing that I really should do is move this media over a bit. So the footage comes in from the timeline, and so that looks like this, and we'll just keep that on the left, and then we'll step through the stages that we go through. So first we've gone from linear because my compositing color space for this thing in the project settings is set to, hang on, whoops, project settings. Under color management, I thought that I had it to ACC. I should, and then we'll have because this footage is sRGB, we'll have an sRGB input transform, and we'll have an sRGB output transform, and then we'll hit save on that. That really should have very little difference. And then what we're doing here is we're taking it from linear to sRGB, and this could be different depending on the OCIO color config that you have set up. So hopefully that will display the results. So this is the input, and this is where we're up to at this point in time. So at this point in time it's become a little bit brighter, and if there was a way to show in Resolve without a LUT, it would look exactly like this, because we're doubling up on the output transform there. We've got one to put it into the sRGB color space, and then we're double transforming it because we've got an output LUT. And then what we can do is have a look at the Rotobot segmentation node. We've got approximate ticked, and we've got it set to person. What this does at this stage, and this is probably a bit of an error on my behalf, is I've got the foreground and the background connected to the channel boolean, and we're just using the red channel throughout, foreground, 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 and white. And then I've made it a little bit smaller here, so let's just compare them, that to that. And then we've made it a little bit wider, which goes out to that. And then what I've done is I've made that transparent, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over a grey version of the one that's been made bigger, which ends up with the input to a tri-map, which is like this, which we can set to being a little bit bigger so we can see the edge there, right? And then the result of that is put through a color curve. So we've clamped it to exactly 3 values. The values below this low value are going to be black, the values in between are going to be grey, and the values above are going to be white. So then we get pretty much 3 colours, and I guess if I was really keen I could adjust this and push it up a little bit harder into there, and I could push this up a little bit harder into there, and then we just have 3 colours. And funnily enough, 3 colours is what the try and try map's all about. So then what we need to do is we need to shuffle it back together so that in the red we have this, in the green we have that, in the blue we have that, which is just a copy of the image, and we can see that this is a compressed image off an iPhone, so the blue channel is not very good. And then in the alpha we have our beautiful tri-map. So then if I come down to the tri-map, what it's going to do, and we'll just leave the alpha shown up there, is it's going to go and detect from that sort of rough and ready alpha to something that's a lot more accurate. So now if we go and view that as red, green, blue in colour, we can see that that transparency has outlined the edge of this person here. So we'll just put this back to fit. And we can see that we've detected the people in the plate. So at this point in time, there's not much to do. Just put it back into the correct colour space and then alpha multiply so it becomes over black, and then put it out to the timeline. And at that point we can jump back to the timeline and we're all ready to render. And then when we render out, I've decided to have an exploration with GoPro Cineform 16-bit RGB, which is one of the non-sequential formats that exports an alpha. And then I've gone and exported that out, and this entire timeline, how long is that? We'll just go to the last frame. So that's 4 seconds worth of footage. So at 30 frames a second, what are we talking? 4 times 3, 120 frames was completed in 36 minutes. So it's not particularly quick, but it is useful. And then if we pass the last frame, we just get black. So just go here, or maybe there's no people in shot at that point in time. I'd really have to check. So you can see that in a count of about 20 seconds while I'm talking, it's going to update and show me the result of that footage, hopefully. So there's the result, and it should also be there in the render view. Yep. All right, so I'm going to switch back to looking at me. There I am. And that's kind of how the software works. It's a quick walkthrough of that composite. The trickiest bit for me was actually that color curve, to clamp it off to 3 values. That's a really important thing if you're going to use that as the input to TriMat. I'm going to stop recording there. Thanks for your time. Bye.